Good afternoon and welcome to the December 15th, 2022 special board meeting of the Sunshine Coast Regional District. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 2:02 and acknowledge that the Sunshine Coast Regional District is within the territory of the Seashelt and Squamish First Nations. So the first item here is we have an amended agenda before us. And is there any additions to the agenda? Yes, Director Stamford.
I have a short addition to add under the water report update. It's a thank you to staff.
Thank you. I will put that down here right after the GM infrastructure. Got it? Any more? No? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? First, who did I get? Anyways, it's been it's been seconded. And all in favor? Thank you. Let's see, that takes us to the regular board meeting minutes of December 8th, 2022, which is Annex A, pages 1 to 10. Is there any omissions or errors within the minutes? No, seeing none. May I have a motion to adopt the minutes as presented? Director Henderson, seconded by Director Toth. All those in favor? Great, the motion's been carried. Thank you. So we have no business arising from the minutes or unfinished business. We have no presentations and delegations, but we have reports. And the first report will be a verbal report by our GM of Infrastructure Services. So GM Rosenboom, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I will start sharing my screen and hope that it all works this time around. And it does. So I will put on my camera, which is also helpful. My apologies, something is not going all too well. Yes, it's better. So, given the changes earlier this week, I thought I'll provide a brief water supply update. So what are the current conditions? Earlier this month, we were just above our critical levels in terms of our creek flows to provide water to the community. That was after a period of no rain, but at that point in time, there was no imminent risk that we would lose control of our water supply to the community. On top of that, or in addition, on last Monday, staff the weather allowed us to go up to Chapman Lake, and we confirmed that the lake is full, and it's actually, there's a limited amount of water overflowing into Chapman Creek, which is good news. The fact that there was water overflowing means that there was also inflow to the lake, but all the creeks have been frozen over. So most likely the inflow is due to groundwater that's flowing straight into the lake, or some minor contributions from groundwater that's flowing into creeks and flowing into the lake, but under a thick layer of ice, so we are not able to see it from above. At the dam, there was about 4 feet of snow, and that's also at the lake. So there's a thick layer of ice and a thick layer of snow on top of it, but underneath there is still water flowing over the dam, which is good. Adverse Lake, however, is still several meters below the dam and no change there for the last several weeks. And we won't expect that lake to fill up until in the spring when the snow starts melting heavily. So, because of the overflowing of Chapman Lake Dam, we anticipate that we will have sufficient creek flows in Chapman Creek in the short term. How short term is, that's to be seen, and I think the critical time will be next week when the temperatures will be dropping significantly. However, at this point in time, we're good. So that resulted in us ending stage 4 water conservation regulations as of last Tuesday, and we are now back at the stage 1 level, which is almost no limitation. So there is an ongoing uncertainty about our water supply long term. If there is an extended dry period with freezing temperatures at sea level, the entire watershed might still not provide sufficient water. So further water use restrictions could be required at that point in time, but they are not at this time. A few pictures on the next slide of Chapman Lake. I will put it, by the way, in different mode. That's better. This is Chapman Lake. On the left, this Monday morning was about 10:30. A thick pack of snow. It was about -10 at that point in time. And on the picture on the right, you see the water overflowing the dam, and the estimate that's about 100 liters a second. This is the picture we've presented before, the amount of rain over the last several months. And you can continue to see that it's dry. It's August, September, October, we had half of the average of the last 10 years. November, we had half of the average of 10 years. And December, these are the data until last Wednesday, 13th. We're almost halfway through we're halfway through the month exactly, and this is the amount of rain we had so far. There is some rain in the forecast, snow and rain in the forecast for upcoming 2 weeks, but there is a lot of that to fall before we even get to average. And this is not unique to our area, by the way. Vancouver, I saw the graph, a similar graph for Vancouver, looks the same. Saw a similar graph for the other island, the other side of the CDC in Parksville, looks similar. So this is really an area-wide picture. And long term, this lack of rain, lack of precipitation might result in groundwater levels not being where they normally are at the start of next year's summer. So that's because it's now ongoing. That will be the interesting scenario to further explore and to prepare for. But for now, short term, there is sufficient water in the creek, and that's what made us make the decision to end stage 4 restrictions at this point in time, to allow also the community to make use of the water that they haven't been not using for been able to do for months, like cleaning, filling up hot tubs, pressure washing boats, cleaning engines, etc., etc. So this is a picture while flying up to the lakes, and you can clearly see that there's an area where there's no snow, and then more snow is coming in it. At the top, at the far right, you see Mount Steele, or a little bit right of the center. That's where there's a big amount of snow. So in upcoming days, we expect the entire watershed to be snow covered again, and it might transition into rain later next week. So because of the combination with little higher temperatures right now, some snow melt. We hope that creek flows will behave as we predict them to do, and keep at a sustainable level. But early next week, we'll know more about that. So what's next? Oh yeah, other water sources. So given that our lake is now full, if needed, we could go up there and see if you can get all the ice removed from our valve and start releasing some water from Chapman Lake. Even a limited amount might already make a big difference, because it would be 24/7. So that is an option, if need be. The other is, of course, Church Road is still available to us as an interim setup. However, that will change shortly, because we have to take that offline to allow for the infrastructure to be the permanent infrastructure to be installed there. Town of Gibson's water supply is still available to us, and Creek Creek and Trout Lake will still be a last resort option, especially given the boil water advisories required for those areas. But with Chapman Lake being full, we have a huge amount of water now available to us, as long as we can keep that valve open, get that valve open, and we think that we have the means to do so. So what's next? The natural flows assessments will continue to happen. Monitoring creek flows, doing forecast about what creek flows, how they will behave, and how they will behave with the temperatures in the upcoming week, 2 weeks. So the day-to-day management of the water supply is still a lot of work. Leak resolution is ongoing. Compliance and enforcement is way less, given that we're now in stage 1. We will reassess stage 1 water conservations if needed. So the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, will continue to be activated, but at a reduced capacity. And we'll foresee that to continue until early spring, when we are sure that we're through any risk of losing water supply is actually over. So the EOC the activities of the EOC will be winding down, not only because of the upcoming holiday season, but also just because of the situation we're currently in. But we will stay alert, and actions will be taken if required. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yes, that was a great presentation. So I see Director Henderson has a question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. A few questions, I guess, but which one to go first with? I guess in terms of being up there, I know staff, it's sometimes troublesome with the weather, but how often are you planning to go up in the next few months?
Thank you for the question. It really depends on our need to go up there. This time around, based on flows, the flow that we were seeing late last week, at our intake, we were expecting that there would be an overflow of the dam happening, and that triggered us to wanted to go up there late last week, but weather was prohibiting us from doing so, so we're up there Monday morning. But usually we don't go up ever in the winter, so this time around, yes, we will continue to go up there, and it will be more on an as-needed basis. If we need to check the valves, if we see a change in creek flow that could be an indication of a reduction of flow that's flowing over the weir. So it's, and we are considering if there's an opportunity for us to install a flow monitoring device there as well, but So that might mean that we have to go up to for that purpose as well.
Let's see. I'll go to Director Bax and then back to Director Henderson. So Director Bax?
Yeah, just a quick question about some infrastructure up at Chapman. You don't have a camera that you can access remotely?
Thank you for the question. During the summer, we have solar panels that are providing power to our equipment at Chapman Lake, which allows for remote control of almost everything we have there, including sensors, etc. Only during the winter season, our solar panel is not really operational, and all the equipment is turned off. So that's why we have to fly up actually there to visually inspect our works. We don't have any remote options at this point in time.
Thank you. Director Henderson?
Thank you, Chair. That sounds to me like we need a bigger battery array, because solar does work in the winter, but at a much lower capacity. My question relates, I guess, at this point to what long-term modeling have we done on the variations? Because when we talk about taking water from the dam or over from the coming over the dam and potentially taking it from the lake, we're sort of drawing on next summer's supply at this point. So what modeling have you done or do you anticipate doing in the next month or so on what next year could look like in different scenarios?
Thank you for the question. If we were, there are two questions in there that I want to provide an answer to. One is, if we were to take a limited amount of water currently from the lake, the watershed behind the lake on the slopes of Mount Steele, McNair, and the entire area is so big that, and there's so much snow currently already on the ground and more to come, that will definitely fill up the lake again before we need it next year summer. So there's currently no concern with taking water and that we're actually doing a disadvantage to ourselves in terms of our water supply the next year. The biggest concern is, as indicated before, the recharge of the watershed, the sponge below the dam. And we're going to work with our consultants in upcoming months to run those scenarios to see what it would look like and what it might mean for starting situation for next year's summer season.
Thank you.
Follow-up, Chair.
Follow-up,
So the modeling, are you doing, or do you plan to do modeling of different scenarios of rainfall over the course of the next 6 months and the impact that will have or could have on our supply?
We identified the need to do that analysis, and we're going to do that early next year. We're going to start that work.
Thank you. Director McMahon?
Yes, on behalf of my local farmers and food growers, when will the board be looking at next year's water restriction regulations?
Thank you very much for the question. The drought response plan evaluation summary report is currently scheduled for January 26th.
Thank you. I don't see any more questions. Thank you, GM Rosenboom. That was quite very informative. Oh, sorry, I see another question. Director Henderson?
Thank you, Chair. You mentioned you'd been up there, of course, on Monday, but I wasn't clear. Were you able to access the valve, or is it still frozen?
Thank you for the question. We were, I was holding I put my hand on the valve, it froze to the valve. But I think that we have the equipment to get it working if required. But we didn't have the equipment with us, so we didn't test it out.
Didn't. There's a little Dutch boy joke in there, but I won't use it.
Thank you. Director Stamford, I believe you had some comments?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge our staff. This is our last board meeting of the year, official board meeting. I hope there's no more board meetings. So I thought it'd be a good time to thank staff for their efforts during the prolonged period of water supply issues this year. Throughout the year, many regional district staff have time and time again stepped up and gone above and beyond to support Sunshine Coast residents' access to their most basic service, water. To keep taps on for 22,000 people, they have gone out day and night in rain, wind, ice, and in intense heat to manage sometimes unwieldy and outdated systems. It would not be an understatement to say several staff have put themselves in some danger for our cause. If not physical danger, many staff have worked dozens and sometimes hundreds of extra hours and experienced incredible stress and continue to work under less than ideal stress levels. As a new director, staff are still a large, anonymous group, and I would like to acknowledge people as individuals. But for fear of missing a single staff person, on behalf of the board, I would like to thank the following SCRD departments: Utility Services, Strategic Initiatives, Capital Projects, Planning, Protective Services, Communication and Engagement, Finance, Purchasing, Legislative Services, and Human Resources. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that was well deserved. So, seeing no further hands up, I guess we will move forward now onto the Annex B, pages 11 to 21, which is Finance Committee pre-budget recommendations. Before we adopt the recommendations in a block, would any directors like to pull any of the recommendations for separate consideration? Okay. Hearing none, can I have a motion to adopt the recommendations of the Finance Committee? Sorry, missing somebody? Kelly, there, okay. Kelly. Director Bax, my apologies.
That's okay. So is it my understanding that that we can pull one of these items for reconsideration, or put forward a new motion on one of these items? I've been reading a bit of Robert's rules.
Yes, that is possible because there has not been a motion made. We were about to make a motion to adopt them as a block, but if you can pull one before we do that, then you can reconsider it.
I would like to pull one, please.
Sorry for a sec here. I see our corporate officer has her hand up.
Yes, Chair, just the caveat to that would be that if a recommendation is being pulled for reconsideration, it needs to be pulled by the member who voted on the prevailing side of that recommendation. So if Director Bax voted in favor and it passed, he may bring it back for reconsideration. If not, it would have to come through the chair.
I understand this rule and that and though I voted against it and it passed, that I would have to.
Sorry, which recommendation are you referring to, Director Bax, so we can have a look at it?
It's the recommendation to go with the to fund a new sprinkler system for the Seashelt Aquatic Center at the higher level. I voted against it, and it's according to Robert's rules, it's up to me to appeal to the chair or to another member that did vote for the motion to bring it forward for reconsideration. So I'm exercising my right to appeal to the chair.
I need to find out which recommendation number that was.
Recommendation number 4, I believe. Let's have a look.
okay.
Sorry, Director Bax, is this within the
No,
Finance
okay, it's not
Committee
number
recommendations 1 to 25?
Right, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Too soon? Okay, thank you. Director White?
This is, yeah, sorry, I'm a little lost here too, but I guess maybe just as a point of order, for this to be reconsidered, it would have already been passed by the board, right? We can't reconsider something that hasn't been passed by the board. So is this something that was passed in a previous meeting?
No, this is a recommendation from a committee. It
Okay, well,
hasn't-
that makes no sense to me then, that we would be reconsidering a recommendation from a committee, because we can only reconsider motions that have been passed. So I think if Director Bax is just simply asking that recommendation be pulled for further consideration, that's easy. But for reconsideration of a motion that's already been passed is an entirely different thing in Robert's rules. But I'll let the corporate officer confirm that. I'm just trying to help
Yes,
Director
understand
White-
where we are.
Director White is correct, actually. And I, for some reason, had it in my mind it was board minutes, but we are looking at recommendations from the Finance Committee. So if there are recommendations to pull for separate consideration, yes, you may do that with this block.
and any member may do that.
Any member may do that, because the board, as Director White pointed out, you haven't yet adopted these yet. There's still recommendations from the committee.
Yes, thank you. So, just a sec here. So right now with Director Bax is talking about the next item to talk about. So we'll just wait on that one. But I see Director McMahon has her hand up.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just confused. I was hoping that Director Box, when we get to it, could give me a recommendation number and a page number, because otherwise I'm a little at sea here. Thank you.
Okay, so Director Gabius, no, we're okay? We're all back on track here again? So just to cover it off again, we are talking about Annex B, pages 11 to 21, which is recommendations number 1 to 25 of the Finance Committee, which is pre-budget recommendations. So that's where we're back to now. And yes, Director McMahon is moving that we adopt these. Do we have a seconder? Director Gabius? Okay. Any further discussions? Seeing none, can have a vote. Those in favor? Any opposed? No? That motion is carried. So now we will move to the Committee of the Whole recommendations, which has been amended to read 1 to 6 and 8 to 10 of December 8th, 2022, because recommendation number 7 was previously adopted. And so this is Annex C, pages 22 to 25. Just give me a second while I move forward here so I know where we are. Okay, got it. Now, would anybody like to pull any of those? No? Can I have a motion to adopt them? Yes, Director Toth, seconded by Director McMahon. Any discussions? Seeing none. All those in favor? Oops, me too. Any opposed? No, that motion's carried then. Thank you. So now we're moving to the Special Committee of the Whole recommendations numbers 1 to 34 of December 9th, 2022. It's Annex D, pages 26 to 31. Now, would anybody Before we adopt the recommendations in a block, would any of the directors like to pull any of those recommendations for separate consideration? Oh, seeing none, can I have a motion to adopt those minutes? Director McMahon, seconder, Director Henderson. Any discussions? No? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? No? That's carried. Feel like I missed something here after all that discussion at the first. Okay, we have no communications. We have no motions. So we're on to bylaws. So we are going to be looking for first, second, third reading and adoption. It's a weighted vote, which is A2, B2, D2, E2, F2, and C Shell 6. And it's for Annex E, pages 35 to 40. So, this is first reading of the Sunshine Coast Regional District Water Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw number 422.41 of 2022. Can I have a motion for first reading? Director Toss, seconded Director Samford. No seeing. Any discussions? No? All those in favor? Any opposed? No? Good. So we get to flip the page.
That was only first reading.
Oh, I gotta finish all of them. Gee, I was finished. Okay, this is for second reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Water Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw number 422.41 of 2022. Motion for second reading. Director Henderson, seconded Director Stamford. Any discussions? No? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. So this is third reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Water Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw number 422.41 of 2022. May I have a motion for third reading? Director McMahon, seconded Director Stamford. All in favor? Any opposed? No. I'm on a roll now. So this is for adoption of Sunshine Coast Regional District Water Rates and Regulations Amended Bylaw number 422.41 of 2022. May I have a motion for adoption? Director Henderson, seconded by Director McMahon. Any discussion? No? All in favor? I seem to be getting this pretty good now. So we're moving on to Annex F, which is pages 41 to 45. And it's concerning the Sunshine Coast Regional District Sewage Treatment Facility Service Unit Amendment Bylaw number 428.25 of 2022. It's for first, second, third reading and adoption. It's, this is a little different. It's A2, B2, D2, E2, and F2 are the voting. So we'll go to first reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Sewage Treatment Facility Service Unit Amendment Bylaw number 428.25 of 2022. Director McMahon, seconded by Director Gabius. Any discussions? Oh, sorry. Yes, Director Gabius.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure if this is the right time to bring this up, but I just wanted to say that there's been some feedback from my community about these rates, and the general feeling that I got is that they would like a little bit more time to consider the rates next year. So a little bit more time also for directors to consult with their constituents would be great. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. I suspect staff is in agreement with the thoughts. Yes, thank you. So we have the motion on the floor. It's been made and it's been seconded, so I don't see any more discussion hands up, so I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? No, that motion is carried. So we're on to second reading for the Sunshine Coast Regional District Sewage Treatment Facility Service Unit Amendment Bylaw Number 428.25 of 2022. Can I have someone make that motion? Director McMahon, seconded by Director Gabius. Any discussion on that one? No? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? No. Okay. So we're third reading for Sunshine Coast Regional District Sewage Treatment Facility Service Unit Amendment Bylaw Number 428.25 of 2022. May I have someone make a motion? Director McMahon, seconded. Someone needs to stick their hand up. Director Gabius, thank you. Any discussion? No? Okay, call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. That's passed. So now we're on to adoption of Sunshine Coast Regional District Sewage Treatment Facilities Service Unit Amendment Bylaw Number 428.25 of 2022. May I have a motion to adopt? Director Bax, seconded by Director Gabius. Any discussion? No? Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? No? That passes. Thank you. We got that one done. So now we're moving on to Annex G, which is pages 46 to 47. That's for first, second, third reading and adoption of the Wood Creek Park Sewage User Rates Amendment Bylaw Number 430.15 of 2022. And the voting is all directors with one vote each. And we're on to first reading. So this will be first reading of the Wood Creek Park Sewer User Rates Amendment Bylaw Number 430.15 of 2022. Can I have a motion for first reading, please? Director Gabius, seconded by Director McMahon. Any discussion? Oh, yes, Director McMahon.
Just one of those questions. So the previous sewer bylaw was voted on by the rural areas, but this one is being voted on by all directors. Why is that?
Thank you for the question. So the bylaw voting at board is coming under administration and operation of a service, and where the service is for one particular electoral area, in this case Wood Creek Park, the Local Government Act says that no one director can make that decision, so all directors get one vote each. Whereas the previous bylaw had a bundle of various sewer rates from the various areas, and so all of the rural areas would be entitled to vote, and per the Local Government Act, it would be a weighted vote of the participants.
Thank you. Further education's always in order. Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded, and I don't see any further hands up for discussion, so I will call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that has passed. So we're into second reading of Wood Creek Park Sewer User Rates Amendment Bylaw Number 430.15 of 2022. Can I have a motion for second reading, please? Director McMahon, seconded by Director Stamford. Any discussions? No? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Nope, seeing none. That motion carries. We're into third reading of the Wood Creek Park Sewer User Rates Amendment Bylaw Number 430.15 of 2022. May I have a motion for third reading? Director McMahon, seconded by Director Gabius. Any discussion? No? Okay. Call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? No? Good. That carried. So now we're into adoption of Wood Creek Park Sewer User Rates Amendment Bylaw Number 430.15 of 2022. May I have a motion for adoption? Director McMahon, seconded by Director Gabius. Any discussions? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? No? That's carried. Thank you. looks after that Annex G. So now we're on to Annex H, page 48 to 49, which is the Painted Boat Sewage Treatment Facilities Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 644.8 of 22, and we'll be doing first, second, third reading and adoption, and all directors get 1 vote each. So this is the first reading of Painted Boat Sewage Treatment Facilities Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 644.8 of 2022. May I have a motion for first reading? Director Gabius, seconded by Director Toth. Any discussions? Yes, Director Toth?
Thank you, Chair. Apologies if this was answered in the meeting when it was discussed, but I noticed that the bylaw schedule references frontage fees per strata unit. And I'm just wondering if the commercial operations at Painted Boat are included in the frontage fees or separate, or, yeah, just a clarification. Thank you.
Is anyone from staff able to answer that question?
Thank you for the question. Yes, they are included in the frontage fees.
Thank you. That was an outstanding question, so. An outstanding answer as well, yes. Thank you. Okay, so I believe that we have a motion, a seconded motion on the floor. I see no more discussion, so I'll take the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? No? Good. We'll move to second reading of the Painted Boat Sewage Treatment Facilities Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 644.8 of 2022. May I have a motion for second reading? Director Gabius, seconded by Director McMahon. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? No? It's carried. We're on to third reading of Painted Boat Sewage Treatment Facilities Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 644.8 of 2022. May I have a motion for third reading? Director Toth, seconded by Director Stamford. Yes, got it. Okay, I will. Any discussion? No. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. That threw me off. It's the one guy only thing again. We're now on to adoption of Painted Boat Sewage Treatment Facilities Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 644.8 of 2022. May I have a motion for adoption? Director McMahon, seconded by Director Stamford. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. So we're on to Annex I, which is pages 50 and 51, which is the Saginaw Ridge Community Sewage Treatment System Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 714.6 of 2022. We're up for first, second, third reading and adoption, and the voting is all directors, 1 vote each. So this is for first reading of the Saginaw Ridge Community Sewage Treatment System Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 714.6 of 2022. May I have a motion for first reading? Director McMahon, seconded Director Gabius. Any discussion? Seeing none then, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that passes. We're on to second reading of the Saginaw Ridge Community Sewage Treatment System Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 714.6 of 2022. May I have a motion on second reading? Director Toth, seconded by Director Gabius. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? No? That carries. We're now on to third reading of the Saginaw Ridge Community Sewage Treatment System Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw Number 714.6 of 2022. May I have a motion for third reading? Director McMahon, seconded by Director Gabius. Any discussion? No? I'll call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that passes. And we're down to adoption of the Saginaw Ridge Community Sewage Treatment System Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw Number 714.6 of 2022. May I have a motion for adoption? Director Gabius, seconded. Any seconders? Director Toth? Thank you. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? No, that carries. Thank you very much. We're getting down the list here. We're now on to Annex J, pages 52 to 98. And there is, darn it, there is a staff report. So who would like to talk to that?
Thank you, Chair.
Corporate Officer? Thank you.
Yes, I'll just briefly say that this is a regular report that comes back to the board, I think twice a year. And further to adoption of the budget throughout the year, you'll notice from time to time we do make recommendations to amend the financial plan, and that requires us to go back and to actually amend the financial plan bylaw. So what we're bringing forward today is just all of the financial plan amendments that have been previously approved by the board, and now we're aligning that with the bylaw.
Thank you. Directors, do you have any questions? Yes, Director Henderson?
Thank you, Chair. I know everybody's rushing to get away for Christmas and stuff, but has this report been reviewed and approved by, I don't see any X's or signatures in the review column, or in the review box on page 53.
Yeah, I missed signing off on it. My apologies.
Thanks.
Would that stop us from dealing with this? Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Yes, Director Bax.
So I have to apologize for my earlier talk about pulling something for reconsideration. Excuse I have a pretty bad head cold at the moment. I was wondering if it's possible to pull any of these pieces for reconsideration, or to ask the chair to pull something for reconsideration within the financial plan. I'm specifically looking at line 14. That was it was in the November 24th committee of the whole. It was recommendation number 4 at that date, and it came to the board on I believe the same day. The Sea Shelter Aquatic Center Fire Sprinkler Replacement Project update. Is there a possibility that I could plead with the chair or another member to bring this forward for reconsideration?
Yes, Corporate Officer.
Thank you, Chair. We first need to find out if it's actually been acted on yet. If it has been acted on, then we can't pull it for reconsideration. But the CAO is checking in on that right now.
Thank you. Should we take a 5-minute recess while this is taken? Okay.
Please.
Thank you. We'll recess until the CAO comes back with an answer for us. Welcome back. This is the SCRD Special Board amended, SCRD Special Board meeting of December 15th, 2022. And when we recessed, Director Bax was asking about item 14 on page 57, which is the Seashelt Aquatic Center Fire Sprinkler Replacement Project Update. And we were seeking clarification on whether this item had been actioned or not. So staff, do you have the answer to that for us?
Thank you, Chair. In terms of action, staff have begun work on preparing the tender documents. In assuming that first thing in the new year, we can get those tender documents out so that we can meet our timing requirements in order to conduct the work during our shutdown. So we are into tender doc preparation, but the tender has not gone public yet. So in terms of action, yes, we've taken action, but has it been action to the point of no return? I would have to say no, it has not been.
Thank you very much. So Director Bax, would you still like this to be pulled for discussion?
If someone would like to put, I'm going to use my understanding of Robert's rules is that I have to appeal to someone who has voted for this motion that would like to pull it. So I can't do it myself.
That's only valid on the same meeting. If it's a subsequent meeting, the only one that can actually pull it is the chair, and I will pull it for discussion at your request.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so could you explain your concerns to us then?
Well, my main concern is that it's $250,000 more for the higher priced system, and I see in the times since we've adopted this motion, we've also spent an awful lot of money and we've raised taxes in an awful lot of different places, and it would be a nice gesture to go with a less expensive system and do something less than what our predecessors have done, which have left us with a lot to spend our money on. But to save our taxpayers $250,000 at this juncture would be what I'm trying to do. I have a motion, if you care to hear.
Yes.
My motion would be that we change the numbers within this recommendation from the $820,792 would be changed to $560,119, and the number of the increase would change from $640,592 to $379,919. That would be the only real, and that the Sunshine Coast Regional District authorize. That would have to change too. The rest would stay the same. I'm looking at page 57 of our current agenda at line number 14.
Yes, thank you. I do believe I need a seconder, so before we discuss. So is there, or would you like to discuss prior to the seconding? Okay, we're looking for clarification here. So Director Henderson.
Yes, Chair, thank you. I'm curious where these numbers come from. What is the underlying reason for selecting these numbers?
Excuse me, I will go back to it's page 52 of the November 24th Committee of the Whole agenda package, where we're given the two options between the wet sprinkler system and the dry nitrogen sprinkler system. We chose, as a board, we chose the option 2. I am bringing this forward in the hopes that we will revisit it and choose option 1. Again, that's Committee of the Whole agenda, November 24th, page 52.
Before we go any further, I'd like to correct one of your comments earlier, though, and that is that we had approved a bunch of other money in the budget. We weren't approving budget dollars at that point. We were simply making recommendations that these projects go forward to round 1 of the budget. So just while we're discussing this, those other items you were referring to are only proposals at this point. So I'll go back to the directors for this further discussion. I see Director McMahon.
Okay, if you're going to allow me to discuss, without a second, I have some, oh, thank you. While I am sympathetic about the situation, because pouring more money into the Seashell Aquatic Center is not one of my favorite things, we don't know for sure what caused the failure of the first sprinkler system, and one of the reasons that staff recommended the nitrogen system was that it would not be vulnerable to the same problem. So, you know, with great reluctance, I voted for the proposal last time.
Thank you, Director McMahon. I think Director Henderson, were you going to second that motion for us? Yes, okay, so we do have a
Yes, Chair,
seconded motion.
Sorry,
So,
I didn't turn my microphone on.
yeah, so now we have legitimate discussion. So Director Stamford, please.
Yes, I'm concerned that the scenarios with which we voted for or against this particular proposal have not really changed. There's the same concerns that I had before about putting in a system that may fail again. I do recognize the overall intent of this motion, and I'm hoping that going forward, when we are at the budget time in January for round 1, that we are able to find more savings going forward that will help alleviate the situation with our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Stamford. Director Toth?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just looking to clarify from a process perspective here, where we've got a motion on the floor to effectively change the numbers in this particular report, but we're talking about doing a financial plan amendment here. So if we did move, if this motion did pass, I expect that we're not looking to pass the rest of, to pass this financial plan amendment bylaw today. So I'm just seeking some clarification for the record on that. Thank you.
Yes, Corporate Officer.
Oops, right. Sorry. Yes, so the director would be correct. Should the board vote to amend or reconsider, change that decision, we would not be reading the financial plan amendment this meeting, and we would have to rework the attached Schedule A and bring it forward to a subsequent board meeting in January.
Would it have any implications going forward on our budget deliberations?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Thank you. Director Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. I seconded this to make sure we had a fulsome discussion. I certainly agree with the sentiments that we need to watch our spending our money, but I'm of the firm belief that if we're going to do this, we need to do it right. So I'm not going to vote in favor of the motion that I seconded. It's either we spend and do it right, or we don't do it at all, in my view. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Bax.
I just wanted to thank you for indulging me in this exercising process. I wanted to see how far I could bring this back, and I appreciate your patience. I, as well as a few other people here, are new at this table, and we're learning how we can move the needle in different ways. But I'd like to say thank you, and if we can vote on this motion, that'd be great.
Yes, I see no more discussion, so I will be calling the question. All those in favor, well, first of all, let me just make sure we have the motion recorded correctly. Yes, Corporate Officer.
I can help with that because I actually have the numbers in front of me. So I think that what the motion is that the decision with respect to the Seashell Aquatic Center Fire Sprinkler Replacement Project update be reconsidered to amend, and that the Seashell Aquatic Center Fire Sprinkler System Replacement Project budget be increased from $180,200 to $567,292 plus GST, with the increase of $387.92, and the total project be funded from short-term debt, and that the Sunshine Coast Regional District authorize up to $562,092 to be borrowed under Section 403 of the Local Government Act from the Municipal Finance Authority for the purpose of the Seashell Aquatic Center Fire Sprinkler System Replacement Project.
Thank you. I think everybody understands what we're voting on. So I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion? All those opposed? Thank you. That motion fails. Thank you for the exercise in democracy. That was cool. So we're back to first reading of the Sunshine Coast Regional District Financial Plan Amendment Bylaw Number 735.2, 2022. Can I have a motion? Yes. Director Henderson, seconded by Director McMahon. Any further discussion? No, not seeing any. Okay, all those in favor? Ooh, I don't vote. All those opposed? Thank you. That carries. So we're into second reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Financial Plan Amendment Bylaw Number 735.2 of 2022. May I have a motion for second reading? Director Toth, seconded by Director Bax. Any further discussions? No? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Beg pardon? Oh. I do vote. Oh, well, if I didn't, it was in the affirmative anyways. So this is for third reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Financial Plan Amendment Bylaw Number 735.2 of 2022. May I have a motion for third reading? Director Bax, seconded by Director Henderson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oops. Any opposed? No? It's carried. So now we're to adoption of Sunshine Coast Regional District Financial Plan Amendment Bylaw Number 735.2 of 2022. May I have a motion for adoption? Director Bax, seconded by Director Stamford. All those in favor? Any opposed? No, that's carried. Thank you. We got by that. It was interesting. We have no new business. Sorry? Oh. We've now completed the open part of our agenda, and we're going to be moving into in-camera. If there's anybody in the public that's looking to ask questions, there will be an opportunity when we return from the in-camera session. So can I have a motion that the public be excluded from attendance at the meeting in accordance with section 91A, F, G, I, and K of the community charter? So, motion, Director Gabius, seconded, Director Toth. All those in favor? Any opposed? We're going to go in camera, so we need to secure the room. Thank you. We return from the in-camera portion of our meeting, and we're now in the SCRD Special Board meeting of December 15th, 2022. And I do not believe there's anybody in the gallery. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes, and there's nobody in the room here, so I would guess we have no questions. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Director Toth, Director Bax, all those in favor? Carried. We're now adjourned. Thank you very much.